Two actually happened, one is completely made up. The catch, they're all written the same way, so you just can't go by how it sounds. You have to go by how it feels. Let's go.
As we go through each story, think about two things, real or fake. And when technology turns against you, who's actually responsible? No right answers, just gut reactions. Let's get into it. If you're new, subscribe now. We do this every Monday. Two real, two truths, and a lie.
I'm Julianne Duffy, and joining me is Michael Duffy. Let's go into the first story for this evening. Am I the asshole? My phone got hacked, and my voice called everyone I knew. It started with a text from my mom. Honey, are you okay? Why are you asking me for money? I was confused. I hadn't texted my mom. I hadn't called her. I had no idea what she was talking about. Then my brother texted, "What's going on? You called me asking for $5,000. That's not like you." Then my best friend called, panicked. "I just got a call from you. You were crying, saying you were in legal trouble and needed money fast. I almost sent it. What's happening?" And that's when I realized my phone had been hacked. Not just stolen, it had been not just unlocked. Someone had accessed my device information and spoofed my number. And they weren't just trying to steal from me directly, they were using my contact list to steal from everyone I knew. Here's what they did. They downloaded my phone data, all my contact, all my text messages, all my voice recordings, old voice memos, videos where I was speaking, social media videos with my voice, anything they could use. Then they used AI voice cloning technology to create synthetic version of my voice. Not a bad imitation, not something obviously fake, but a perfect copy. The pitch, the cadence, all of it. They then use that cloned voice to call everyone in my contact list, spoofing my phone number. My parent, my siblings, my friends, my coworkers, they called all of them using my voice, using my phone number, using my name. And they told each person the same story. I'm in trouble. I got arrested. I need money for bail. Don't tell anyone. Just send cash to the Cash App account. The voice was so perfect that my own parents almost sent money to a criminal before they realized something was wrong. The police said this is a coordinated fraud ring. They target people's devices, harvest their voice data, create clones, and run mass scams. Your contacts are all at risk now because they have proof that the voice clone works. I asked, how did they get my phone? They said there are vulnerabilities in device security that let hackers gain remote access. Once they're in, they can extract everything, your voice data, your contacts, your personal information. All of it is accessible to them. I asked, how do I protect myself? Well, they said you don't. Not really. The technology to clone your voice exists. The capability to access your phone remotely exists. The only way to protect yourself is to hope nobody targets you and hope the scam doesn't work. The hardest part is this. I trust my voice. Now my voice is a weapon. Someone else's version of it is calling people I care about to asking them to betray me financially. And I have no way to prove which version of me is real. So am I the asshole for not knowing that my phone could be remotely compromised? Or is the system an asshole for making my identity so easily replicatable? Oh,
Wow.
you disappeared? Did you hear me?
I was reading along because I got no internet connection, no matter what internet connection I'm on. So I read that.
Okay, so there you
I'm
go.
hoping our viewers, because it's like I can't hear. I don't know what's going on, and I rebooted my computer before this call, so whatever. Yeah, you know what? I really, as you know, I'm gonna say on this one, the system's the asshole, but like we've we're in cybersecurity. We get weird calls like this all the time where people are like, I've been hacked. And like, I'm like, how can you tell? And they give me some weird stories about like being former government agent or employee or whatever. And I'm like, I don't actually know the veil between what's real, what's possible versus what real. If there's like, this is creepy. So
It is very creepy. And we know all these scams where they're calling people, we know that the cloning of voice cloning is real. They've scammed a lot of people. We know this, where they think it's well, that was one of our first stories was about a grandma, right?
yeah,
And so, like everybody, and to be using your voice memos, however they can duplicate and make it sound like you is insane. But, in fairness, at least everybody called her directly to find out, right? So, because they can spoof your number too, right?
spoof your number, spoof your voice, spoof your like literally you get everything can be spoofed. And the reason the previous story I thought was legit was because I've had clients where they're like, oh hey, like I've been scammed that way before. And I'm like, you didn't think that was weird that like you're probably anyway. So all of this is possible.
It's definitely possible. It is
And
like
that's why I tell people I don't trust anybody whatsoever.
well, the verdict, of course, on the Reddit verdict was not an asshole, obviously. Your phone was compromised, your voice was stolen. This is a violation of your identity and not your fault. You did nothing to deserve it. There was some people that pointed out you should have stronger phone security, but also that's victim blaming when the security vulnerabilities aren't even in your control. And that's something to actually point out is that we know that they can spoof and hack and they can even break into your
It's
phone and take
so easy.
over access of it. And the phone companies know this, that they'll answer and give access to the wrong people. I feel like a lot of it goes back to the responsibility that there should be responsibilities for the phone companies.
Well,
But for whatever reason, they're not responsible.
and I always bring this up because people like when people call me with these weird situations, I'm like, well, did you get a new phone recently? They're like, yeah, I went to the cell phone kiosk. And I'm like, that's like the most terrible place to get phones swapped out because you've got somebody who has physical access, and usually you're like trading in an old phone for a new one. And like, unless that old device is wiped or you watch every step of their process, like you're just blindly trusting somebody at a cell phone kiosk to move your stuff over. And that's literally where the easiest point for it to get compromised. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, you're believing that employee is ethical. And that's going to be your weakest link is how many scams we even know in Canada, there was a big gold heist and it was on Air Canada and it was all employees and they knew the gold was coming in and it was completely an inside job. So, that is the unfortunate part is unfortunately humans are probably part of the weakest link of that. But there was also the point that hackers are criminals, but so are the companies that make the phones, and they need to do better, which is what I was just mentioning. And society needs to stop trusting voice alone as verification. Like we talked about in other episodes, having like a phrase or a word that would be used in your family that if you did have to call them with an emergency, that would be like that you would use, right? So they would know that this is actually you, not somebody pretending to
Is
be.
that like you're like verbal, like you're human two-factor authentication?
Yeah, yeah, like exactly, right? The top comments, some of the top one, the scariest part isn't that this happened to her, it's the technology to do this already exists and is getting cheaper every day. This is gonna become a norm. And we were watching a bunch of stuff on Y-Files, and they were talking about a lot of these data hacks. And when we get these quantum computers, we're gonna be so messed up if we can't find a way to protect ourselves from them hacking us like in no time at all. There won't be enough protection that you can add to not be hacked.
I don't know. As I think it's a guarantee everyone's gonna get hacked at least once. I think the actual I don't actually know the statistic on how often you get hacked, but I know it's like once a year everybody's going to encounter data loss of some sort. So hacking's like right up in there because Everything's electronic, everything's app based, everything's, and humans, your device isn't always with you, and there's so many identifiers on it anyway that we're the weakest link. We're gonna get hacked, and then the technology makes it so easy for that to happen to you.
Exactly. Well, and learning that things that are important need to be offline, need to be backed up offline. If you have any type of digital currency, don't have it online, or have a little bit online and everything on like an offline wallet or a computer that isn't on the internet. Like that's really what we're learning, right? So
Yeah.
that was our first story. It sounded like me, but it wasn't. So keep that in mind as you go through, because one of these stories is fake that we're going to talk about. Are you ready for the next story or any other comments?
I'm 100% looking forward to a creepy story. Let's go.
No, creepy story. That was creepy. Do you not?
I know. I'm just going to like gaslight you and say I want creepy stories.
Not creepy enough. Okay, let's go to story
more
number
creep
2.
factor.
More creep factor. Story number 2. Am I the asshole? My boss called and I transferred $50 million.
Oh.
It was March 2025 when I got the call. I was the finance director of a multinational corporation. I've worked in finance for 15 years. I know how fraud happens. I know all the red flags. I thought I was careful. I thought I was smart. I was wrong. The call came from what looked like our internal system. The caller ID showed our CEO's number. His voice was unmistakable. He said, "Hi, we need to move fast on this. We have a confidential acquisition we're closing, and we need to wire 50 million to an escrow account by the end of business day. I'm setting up a Zoom call with you, the CFO, and 2 other executives so we can discuss the details." I said, "That's unusual. Normally we have the board approve for something this size." He said, "That's why it's confidential. The board will be notified after close. This is time sensitive. Can you join the call in 5 minutes?" I said, "Yes." The Zoom call started. There were 5 people on screen: the CEO, the CFO, 2 other senior executives, and me. All of them looked exactly like themselves. Their movements were natural, their facial expressions were appropriate. When the CEO spoke, his mouth moved perfectly in sync with his words. Then the CFO nodded in agreement. She nodded like she always does, a little tilt to the left. They explained the acquisition, a tech startup in Hong Kong. They discussed timelines, strategic rationale, growth projections. Everything sounded legitimate. The CEO said, "We need your authorization to move 50 million to this account." He showed me the wire instructions. Everything looked correct. But I paused. Something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something in my gut was screaming. And I said, "Let me verify this with you directly before I execute the wire. Can you send me a secure email confirming these instructions?" The CEO looked slightly annoyed, but said, "Of course." The call ended. I immediately called the CEO's direct line. He answered, "What's up?" I said, "Did you just call me about a confidential acquisition in Hong Kong?" He said, "No, I've been in meetings all day. Why?" That's when I realized I had almost transferred 50 million to scammers based on a video call with people who looked, sounded, and acted like my CEO, CFO, and colleagues. The deep fakes were that good. The voice cloning was that convincing. The person pretending to be my CEO even mimicked his slightly annoyed tone when I asked for verification, which is exactly what the real CEO would have sounded like. I reported it to our security team. They said, "You're lucky you trusted your gut. We've heard reports of similar attacks at other companies. Some of them weren't as lucky as you." They investigated and found out that the attackers had studied our company's public videos from earning calls and conferences. They had extracted hours of footage of our executives speaking, which they used to train AI models that could clone their voices and create deep fake videos of them. all of that publicly available information, all of those public speeches, all synthesized into deep fakes so perfect that a trained finance professional almost transferred 50 million to criminals. So am I the asshole for taking a Zoom call and almost falling for it? Or is it technology that allows anyone the power to be able to duplicate and impersonate another human the actual problem?
I've heard of these ones before. So,
That's terrifying.
well,
Like,
but that's why she did her due diligence, because she knew it seemed off. This is how real life businesses get hacked, because as soon as there's video involved, your voice can be cloned, your video can be cloned. If there's any public video or data on you, that can be typed into a model. So I've heard, like, not this particular situation, but I know businesses who've been hacked because of video based stuff like this. I'm just leave it like that.
well, and it's scary because we do talk about people being visible, being in your making videos, being visible. But then that, of course, at the same time, we're getting at risk that we're teaching that if somebody wants to go and hack you and duplicate and clone you, the more evidence that exists, which at this point, there's probably for most people, there's a lot of digital content and information on them. It's actually very easy for the AI to mimic that, especially if they're being trained to duplicate and replicate you, right? So, again, this is also, I think it's the same kind of idea as the last story where you need to have some kind of like safe process, word, phrase that's in your business. But then what stops them? Because we've talked about stories of where they've interviewed people that were deep faking that they were somebody else in the interview, right? So it's like, okay, a little bit like we were what the Y files were predicting is that are we going to go backwards and have to have more paper trails, more like stepping back from the technology because of this encroaching digital chaos,
Well,
right?
that's why there's supposed to be like an audit system, like verification. She did what she was supposed to. Like, she went and checked with the CEO, and then at that point, it's like I feel like we've got this over reliance on Zoom and video calls, and not a reliance on actual having a conversation, like face to face with somebody, right? Because anything can be like, if you look at what's possible with AI videos, it's going to improve every single day. And the stuff I saw yesterday and today, where people are like literally putting themselves into like historical videos now. And there's
Okay.
like, and obviously they're putting themselves into historical videos. Every actor in this historical video is AI generated, but people are like, the technology is so good now that I do think there's going to be a tipping point where there's going to need to be more human verification, because phone numbers can be spoofed, video calls can be
Yep.
spoofed. You've seen
Your voice can be spoofed. You're like literally everything about you can be
I don't know if you've
duplicated.
seen the videos where it's like, a white guy like me, and then there's like face filters where that white Caucasian male is now like a different colored person or a cartoon character, because there's all like motion capture, all this stuff. Like, it's all really, if you've got the time and effort and the training, you can copy anything. It's just time. It's just time.
And there's much more motivation when you've got a massive, massive multi-million dollar, billion-dollar business to spend that time, building that up to get that $50 million
Well,
payout. That's what's in it for the criminals,
well, and I
right?
know like a lot of the financial crimes I've been asked to investigate in my career, because we run this cybersecurity business. A lot of it's wire fraud, and it's
Mhm.
because there's enough, like, for example, we owned a condo. You were on the condo board. So it's very easy for this is where it comes down to human communications and auditing, because I know that it's very easy for you to see, hey, there's a condo building near where I live, and hey, they've got a bunch of construction going on. So what will happen is the scammers will find out if they've been doing any little bit of research, they'll know that there's construction going on. So there's payments being made out to a construction company. And I was dealing with like this condo company, and they're like, can you trace emails for us? And I'm like, well, I can trace emails for you. Like, what's going on? They're like, oh, we've been getting all these, like, they caught it before it happened, but like all these fake wire requests. And it was coming in from construction companies, so the name of the company was correct. So obviously, I think the contractor was infiltrated, because
Yes.
so the construction company
Well, and
themselves
at
was
least you were
infiltrated, and the
asking.
hackers were trying to get the wire payment from the condo corp before the actual real contractor got it.
Well, and if you think about it, like that's when it's gonna be super important to know what the contract is, and that there is no digital copy of that contract, so you
They're
know when
all
the
going to be
payments go.
digital, because they're all
So
going to
when it
be
doesn't
they're
match,
all going to be
right?
they're
So
all
when it doesn't match.
they're all going to be like electronic PDFs. And if you're if you deal with a lot of like in this case, they dealt with a lot of projects. So 100K, 200K, 500K, those wire amounts were reasonable. But there were
Yes,
just
but it was
there
asking the
was a
question.
couple things that were catching them off guard. I'm like, why don't you phone up the contractor? I just say there seems to be a little bit of weirdness from their like it's just the dates for the payments were off, but they had sensed something
Yes,
was weird,
and
and I was like, this is
yes,
why.
so I just want to
Take a
summarize it
phone
up
call.
really, right? So really like summarizing it up is that we actually need a paper copy that's not digitalized, that of when those contracts need to be paid, so that if you get these weird ones that don't match the payment date, it's going to at least alert you, right? Like I think our future is actually going to be a combination of digital and still having to use humans at a very fundamental base level, because this stuff is terrifying. This is really scary, right? That you can't believe what you're seeing. You can't believe that we're not AI generated, honestly. Like that's,
Yeah, face
like
filter, rip it off. No.
exactly, get my face filter. So, anyways, we'd love to know. Drop it in the comments or in the chat. Do you think this one's real or fake? But on the Reddit story, the verdict was, of course, that they weren't an asshole. I'm assuming you're telling them they're not the asshole. I don't think they're asshole, but what do you
I
think?
think she would have been an asshole if she wouldn't have actually done her due diligence. This is why I
Exactly.
tell people, I'm like, hey, how do you know in your business that your email actually got to your customer? You pick up the phone and call them. If something seems weird, call them, because maybe there's something weird going on.
Well, but then even if you call them,
Well,
well, at least if you
these are
call them,
incoming calls, and
it shouldn't be a spoof.
this is where it gets weird, right? Because anything
Yeah,
incoming could be
because
fake.
well, and even if you try calling back the last number and it was a spoofed number, you might not end up actually talking to that actual person, because if it's a spoof number, right? Like that's why if I get a voicemail from any company or anybody, I go look it up and will manually dial the number. I will never recall from it, because you don't know if it's just looking like it's the right phone number. So we're already past the point where you can go, okay, a company called me. You go online, you're like, yeah, it's their number. I'll call them back. You still have to actually dial that number in, because if it's on your phone, it might not actually be that number. It's spoofed, right? So we've got all these layers of kind of working against us that we have to be super due diligent. So I give that person a huge amount of credit that they just thought of calling to make sure and call the
Isn't
actual
that just
number,
so
right?
weird? So all of those people in that video call would have been fake.
That you well, look, there's $50 million at stake. It's organized crime. I have to wonder how many are being actual government agencies from other governments, right? That would be actually my assumption, is it was another government that
Oh my god.
has a department doing that. But that's just my assumption. Anyways, on the verdict on Reddit, Of course, she was not the asshole. You caught the fraud. You didn't lose the money. Your instinct saved your company. I feel like this person should have got a big bonus.
50
You did
million.
exactly
50
what
million, exactly.
Give him a 50 million bonus. Exactly. You did exactly what you should have done. There was a little bit, you almost let $50 million transaction happen without proper verification. But again, how are you supposed to verify when the deep fakes are that good? They did the only thing they really could have, right? And they did a good job. The attackers are the criminals, but executives also hold too much power to make too many decisions with too little oversight. So this should have required more people to approve, which I think that really was out of the story. Is one of the big things is that everything went through the board and that wasn't happening. So
She did her due diligence. Let's just face it. She called
exactly.
because she's like, this seems super smooth, but there's just that red flag, and you're gonna find that in
It'll be something, and it might be just that slightly off. And I think what we've been indoctrinated is to not notice the slight uncomfortable discrepancies, to overlook them. I think that's going to be more important because that's part of following our intuition as well, right?
yeah, 100%.
And then the top comments were the scariest part of this is the company was lucky. Other companies probably aren't. Somewhere right now, someone is probably transferring millions to criminals that they had no idea and they think it's
I
legit.
bet you it happens all the time. Like, technology is so integrated, and there's so many business owners who don't even have passwords recorded, document, like any of their processes documented. So then
Well, my password is password or ABC
no,
or one,
no,
two, three.
no. This is why I made a YouTube video about making strong, secure passwords that you can remember, because unfortunately, this likely happens every single day. People are getting tricked into saying yes to stuff, and just because it seems like 99% accurate or okay, or 99% kosher, but there's just something, are you able to identify the red flags?
Exactly. So any last thoughts on that? I'm going to jump to the third
Oh,
story.
go ahead, because 1 and 2, I'm just saying, all these stories each week are really accurate. They're like 98, 99% all this technology exists. So it's a challenge.
Even when you and if they do exist, and even when you find out which one's fake, it's probably already happened. We just don't necessarily know, or it's going to happen. And that's the truth, right?
We're just creating
So
awareness of how creepy system.
it is. Exactly. Well, let's jump into our third story. So keep it in mind. The first one was her phone was hacked and her contacts are all being asked for money. Second one here was this person almost sent $50 million, completely bamboozled through the Zoom call. And now we're going to a third story. I had cancer. AI said no. So, am I the asshole? My insurance company's AI denied my cancer treatment. I got diagnosed with cancer on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, my oncologist had a treatment plan. By Thursday, my insurance company had rejected it. I didn't get a call from a human. I didn't get a letter with an explanation. I got an email notification. Oh, excuse me as I burp. Excuse me. That's how you know I'm not AI. AI doesn't burp. I got an email notification that my claim for chemotherapy had been denied for medical necessity. The email was sent from a system, not from a person, from an algorithm. My oncologist said, "This is unusual. I've been recommending this exact protocol for this type of cancer for 10 years. It's standard treatment. It's FDA approved, and there's no reason for them to deny it." I called the insurance company. The representative said, "Your claim was reviewed by our AI system and denied. If you'd like to appeal, you can submit additional documentation." I asked, "Can I speak to a human about why it was denied?" She said, "The AI makes the determination. We can only process appeals. The AI looks at your medical history, your specific diagnosis, your treatment plan, and makes recommendations based on data from millions of other cases." Because AI is, I guess, a doctor now, just so you
100%,
know.
100% accurate all the time, every day.
Exactly, right? I said, my doctor recommended this. My doctor is a human who went to medical school and has treated thousands of patients. She said, the appeal process is available if you believe the decision was wrong. So I appealed. I sent letters from my oncologist explaining my treatment was necessary, research papers, my medical records. I sent everything I could think of. 2 weeks later, the appeal was denied by the same AI system. I had a choice: wait longer while going through another appeal process, hope that somehow the AI would reverse the decision, or pay the $15,000 out of pocket per treatment cycle. I didn't have $15,000. I'm a single mother. I work in healthcare, but I don't make six figures. I couldn't pay out of my pocket. So I waited and waited, and the cancer wasn't waiting. Finally, after the second appeal, 6 weeks after my initial diagnosis, the insurance company approved the treatment. No explanation of what changed, no human saying, I reviewed your case, I was wrong, just a notification that the AI had changed its determination. I later found out that the insurance company uses an AI system that denies claims at a much higher rate than human reviewers. When people appeal, about 90% of the denials are overturned, which means that AI is wrong most of the time. But it's wrong in a way that delays treatment to save the insurance company money. The worst part is no human made a decision to deny my treatment. There was no one looking at my case and saying no or being accountable for what happened. It was just an algorithm that was wrong, an algorithm that my insurance company can hide behind. So am I the asshole for being upset that my insurance company is that my insurance company is using an untrained, unqualified AI algorithm to determine if I get a treatment or not? Or is the insurance company the asshole for using the algorithms to make life or death decisions and then claim they can't explain why?
I love insurance.
I feel like it's one of the biggest scams, but that's my own personal bias. Like, seriously, this example is exactly like we talked on, honestly, though, about the US government sending out a new way to teach people how to use AI, right? So I was talking about going through this AI training, and they specifically say no decisions can come from AI. A human needs to look at them. Yet we have companies, this is a perfect example, that is literally letting AI make the wrong decision, and they can hide behind it and literally go, oh, if they were ever sued, they'd be like, oh, it was just an accident, as you're out, hundreds of thousands of
You're
dollars for suing
you're
them if you can
you're
even.
outside your home
So
postal code.
exactly. Like, the reality is AI is not a medical doctor. It's not a human. AI should not be making any of these decisions. It should be illegal to be allowed to do that. That is my personal opinion. Like, that is awful.
However, AI is cheaper than their underwriters, so it's
Well, and the underwriters approve too many,
well. This
too many, right?
well, this is the thing. So this is why anybody who tells me, like, realistically, that it doesn't matter if it's an insurance company or a different type of company or a human. People are relying too much on outputs from AI. Their AI is great. You can have images made. You can have deep fake videos made. There's all this stuff that is expedited creatively, create that that angle. But when it comes to actually making decisions on things, I'm like, that if she's not the asshole because she's like, this should be approved. But it's like the other story with the fake documents, and it was like the driver's license was temporary versus a permanent one. It's like, well, there's not enough. We're all guinea pig. We're all being used as guinea pigs, being against the training of AI in its preliminary stages.
I'm muted. I guess you
Like,
didn't hear that part.
no. I can read lips, but I don't know if the viewers can read lips.
Learn how to do it. I was gonna say, it is very disturbing how all these companies are using us, and we're usually paying them. We're usually, like me complaining about paying to be a beta tester for subpar things, or paying your insurance for them to use it as this testing tool because they want to save money, right? We are all paying to be beta testers to subpar technology, and that should make us not happy. I'm paying for a service. I'm not paying for your AI. That should be a different freaking thing. And you testing it should not be affecting the actual user. But that's a reality we unfortunately live in.
That's wrong. Think you've been flagged.
Exactly, right? So the Reddit verdict was, of course, the not the asshole was the overall verdict. You were denied care by an algorithm. You appealed. You eventually got approved, but you lost 6 weeks. That's not even your fault. A little bit, there was a little softer of the asshole. You could have escalated this faster, gotten a lawyer immediately. Yeah, but if she doesn't have money, how are you going to sue?
This is a thing. Like, it's like, everybody get a
I
lawyer.
don't understand why Reddit's always like, get a lawyer. There's
Because
clearly a reason they don't.
because it's a de facto answer when you're in the States. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Well,
You know what? And fair enough, I'm not against that. But then you have to find a lawyer that will take a portion of what you get paid at the end when you win the case. Because because most people don't have that money, right? Because even back when I had a lawyer for when I was leaving my job and I needed a lawyer for HR, and I went to that HR lawyer for 1 hour was $400, and that was in 2010, right? So we're now like, this is 16 years later. I bet it's more than $400 an hour. Just saying, right?
That's why I like clients who are lawyers. So I know what they're
Well, they make that money, right?
I know what they're charging, and then if they respect my authority, then I'll do good with them. So
They'll do good with them. So, anyways, I always like that the lawyer immediately. Yeah, you could have got a lawyer. Yeah, really, you need to do a class action lawsuit. You need to get a bunch of people on your side.
But even that term is thrown around. There's only certain jurisdictions where you can do class action lawsuits on certain things. So people throw around, go get a lawyer, and the class action lawsuit. You can only do that if it's even applicable in your state or province in your country.
That is true.
Sometimes if you're in a socialist area, you're just going to be stuck with whatever rules that you're able to go with. So in this case, I'm like, she did what she was supposed to do. If you file something and it gets rejected, you're just going to have to, if you got the energy to fight. It's like when our Jeep caught on fire and dealing with the insurance company. It was like a 4-month fight in order to get that damn vehicle written off because of they've never seen it catch on fire, yet there is actual proof in the media of these things catching on fire.
And it was multiple stories.
But we live in Canada, not America, different jurisdictions.
And we also found out from the the last issue we had with our transmission that also not all states have lemon laws. So you don't have that protection. You do in some, and we don't in Canada, and you don't in all states.
And just because there's a manufacturer stamp on your vehicle doesn't mean it's a legitimate part, because the companies pay for licensing. So it may say it's product A when it's really product B, but they paid for the rights to use that stamp.
And that's when you realize that all your food products and that no-name version is the exact as your name brand version. Like 100%. They're made in the same factory, right?
Well, when the packaging looks similar and you're like, wait a minute, this packaging looks like this packaging, but it's 2 different stars. It's the same.
Exactly, right? So that was the thing with soft, like could have gotten good lawyer. But also, why should a patient with never have to fight to get approved treatment? There was also
she's asking for money, and that money is going to pharmaceutical companies, and everything needs to be approved.
Exactly. That's a whole nother story, right? Then there was also the comments: the system is broken. An algorithm that denies 90% of claims incorrectly should not exist, but insurance companies profit from delay. This is a system working exactly as designed, and we know that. They want you to wear out and give up. And that's what they're hoping for, right? That you don't have the stamina to fight, or that you just give up and find some other way around it or whatever. But one of the top comments was, this is happening right now. Right now, someone is being denied cancer treatment by AI. Right now, someone is waiting for an appeal while their disease progresses. Right now, someone is paying out of pocket for treatment they already paid for through premiums. And the insurance company calls it policy.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. So, I guess it's
Okay.
time to go. Let's go to the next part.
Okay. So, final guess. 3 stories. One is completely made up. Story 1. My phone got hacked and my voice called everyone I knew. Story 2. My boss called and I transferred 50 million. Story 3. My insurance company's AI denied my cancer treatment. Lock it in.
Drop it into the comments.
If you're new, subscribe now. We do this every Monday. Drop your guess into the comments because these are so much fun to do. And I've been right a couple times, but not every single time.
Okay, Mike. What is your guess?
Oh, these ones were good. So I was like, I'm gonna go with number 1, but I really think it's number 2. But number 1 is like 3. I assume is correct. So
Just go with the assumption.
just based on insurance companies, and I got my own trauma with insurance companies. So I'm gonna go number 1.
Okay, let's get the little drum roll as I bring up the reveal here. And you were correct. Story 1 was fake. So, the remote phone hacking is real. Voice cloning is real, voice data extraction is real, and the technology to do exactly what happened is absolutely real. However, we did not find a good, well-documented case. A coordinated attack where the hackers simultaneously call your entire contact list has thus, I'm going to put out, I did not implant that idea, so it has not this has not happened.
No, but I'm like, it's so like, there's just certain little things with these stories, and it's like, but really, and I know it's possible, it's probably been done. It's probably, there's probably some example of it on the internet. I'm just sure because the stories we've reviewed in the last, this is episode 7. This is week 7 of this. Like 7 times 3 stories is a lot of stories, and they've been creepy. So, and you're like, there's so many, you can just see this happening. That's why it's such a hard guess.
Well, we know this is happening. We know versions of this are happening. And I'm sure some of the examples are probably people have had these examples and they haven't shared them online, or feel bad that they've had these things happen to them, or feel dumb. But the reality is we're all being bamboozled. It's getting harder and harder to know what's real. And that's why we're talking about, like, honestly, though, it was 2 weeks ago during the astrology news show where we highlighted, like, what is real and who controls what right? And how we're just sitting in this weird reality where this is now AI has way too much authority, and it's not proven. Like when you think about it with a human, you have to prove your authority. You have to do hours. You have to talk the same thing. You have to help people through. You will get called out at some point if you didn't prove your authority. AI legitimately came to us, and it's like they've been put on this pedestal that they have authority that they've never ever proven they should even have.
I know, and that's the most annoying thing, because I caught somebody. Remember, I was telling you this. I caught somebody with this last week, and I've been chatting with them about their YouTube or whatever, and it's like, oh, I've got this assessment, and I was like, oh, okay, like, where did you get it from? Me thinking they got it from another coach or somebody who they paid to analyze their YouTube, and I'm like, it's really from AI? Are you kidding me? Like, how much made up bull crap is in this assessment that AI gave you, because you know it's just going to agree with you and mirror back what you're already doing.
And any information
Unless it's trained, like it's a generic conversation with it, it's just going to make.
Well, as I did with that AI training from the US government, it asks you, like, it's teaching you that it's getting historical data. So even things with like online and how YouTube works, even with vidIQ that we'll follow, it's historical data. So by the time you're even hearing it, it's not even real to this moment anymore.
Well, that's what I'm like. Before in the days of Google search, like you search stuff, websites would come up, and you as a human would have to go through and figure out if you trusted the source or not. And now AI is like, well, here's what I found, here's my resources, but like, are you doing that human quality check of like, where are these sources coming from?
Exactly. So, I think the biggest thing is we're learning every week, and we will continue to learn, is trust no one. Do your due diligence and don't answer your phone. Don't call back the same number. Don't really, we're learning this list that, you need to screen everything. You got to go through a process and set up your own process that if they've called you, they left a message, did they DM you on a social media? Can you follow a trail? Do you have their direct number that you then type in the phone versus calling back, right? Like, just these things that, again, with quantum computing might just go out the door, because that'll just bring that to a whole new level. But until then, we're going to keep highlighting these really great little stories and give you that opportunity to guess which one is fake. Mine, Mystique, I know, I wish number 3 was fake, that you were just getting denied. But this was a court case. This company was sued because a whole bunch of the patients that were denied got together and actually did sue this actual insurance company. So that's where that story did come from. Good times.
All right. So
that was episode 7 of Too Real. Did you get it right this week?
And the harder it becomes to tell what's real. And if you guessed right, let us know in the comments, because guess what? I've been like, I think it's been 50-50. I've been kind of like, I got duped once, but a couple times where I'm like, I guess wrong, but it was like the right answer was my second backup. So I'll just believe I was right. Before we leave you, let's do a quick 60 seconds of what we have available. I think Julie's got everything from our digital store up on the screen. Everything can be accessed through breathewithinyoga.com. We have the celestial alignment journey. The second session is tomorrow, Tuesday, June 9th, the same night as Venus conjunct Jupiter, the luckiest alignment of 2026. Your body, your chart, your healing. Spots are still open. Link is in the description, or DM Julianne to get more information. We have the June Divining Timing Guide available on breathewithinyoga.com. The Venus conjunct Jupiter is June 9th. New Moon in Gemini is June 14th. This guide tells you exactly what to do on each of these days. We have the Stay Oriented March to August 2026 guide. 6 months of navigation in 25 pages. That is still on discount. The discounts applied at the checkout. Getting really excited for the Awaken Light astrology and numerology ecosystem that we've built. It is an app, but it's more than just an app. So we've been working through that. We're still looking for beta testers to come out to find out what Venus conjunct Jupiter means for your charts, because our app is cool. Guess what? You type in your birthday, you type all your personal information in, and you can plan. There's so much stuff in this app. It's crazy. I'm getting super excited that we're working through all the bugs. Beta testers are helping us work through the bugs. And we have the YouTube visibility engine. So at the bottom of the screen, you see that graphic. The new moon in Gemini is on Sunday, is the perfect day to plant your content intention. This is what we're here to help you with, is planning your content for your YouTube channel, for reactivate your audience, build your other social medias, do it weekly. You know you want to do it, and we're here to help you guide you through the process of building out your content. We are back live next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern with the next episode of Too Real, Two Truths and a Lie. And join us 4 times a week. We've got the Sunday Weekly Energy show at 7:11 p.m. Eastern. Monday, of course, for Too Real, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thursday for Honestly Though, our astrology show, that's 7 p.m. Eastern. And this on Saturday, of course, the Visibility University at 9 a.m. Eastern, where we answer all your questions about showing up, being visible, building that YouTube content, and repurposing it everywhere. Regain your time and your energy to focus on building content for your audience. And got anything to add to that, Julie?
I think that is everything. I was just going to put in is all the
I was going to say, subscribe to I Am YouTube Famous and Breathe Within Yoga. Turn on the notifications, because the best thing about YouTube is every time we go live and you get your notifications turned on, you get an email that you get sent from YouTube, and it's got our thumbnail for the current show with the information and a reminder that you need to go and watch it.
And next week, we're going to bring in some more stories so you can stay up with what is going on with the technology. And I'm getting more and more inspirations for some really great stories as we go forward. So make sure you do subscribe so you are notified for next Monday. And on that, I think we're going to head out. Have a wonderful night. And thank you again for joining us. We will see you here. Same time, same place. Bye.
Okay, well, bye.